getting the goals they deserve.
Live on lcfc.com, Facebook and Twitter, you're listening to the Pre-Match Pint, brought to you by Chang Beer.
Hello, good afternoon. Here we go again. Leicester City are back in action, and this time it's all about the FA Cup, one of the most anticipated weekends of the year in the football calendar. It's third round time. It's the time when pretty much anything can happen, and already a couple of results going the way of slight shocks. We'll go through some of those very shortly, but first let's introduce the team on the Pre-Match Pint as Leicester get ready to welcome Wigan to the King Power Stadium today. I'm Lewis Mason, talking you through the next couple of hours on LCFC Radio, joined by Mr. Matt Elliott and Nev Foulger. How are we, gents?
Not too bad at all.
Yep, afternoon, Lewis. Afternoon, Nev.
Afternoon,
all good, mate. All good. Looking
Yep.
forward to more entertainment.
It's my first time in this new year. Happy New Year as well to everybody.
Thank you, Nev.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Nev. When did you stop saying it?
Back now.
That's it.
Now
Is
that's
that it?
plenty,
Now
mate.
we've seen Nev.
That's it.
It's all good.
Yeah, there's like thousands of people in this building. And you go, hello, Happy New Year.
Saw you on New Year's Day.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk football. Leicester City very much hoping that history doesn't repeat itself from this time last year, Nev. I know you having a little look at this earlier.
Yeah, well, it was Newport on January the 6th last year.
Long time ago.
Oh, yes. It's a miracle I can remember it, really. But yeah, 2-1, lost to Newport. So, as you said in your build-up there, Lewis, anything can happen on this third round day. Hopefully, and I can't really see it, I don't think there's going to be a shock at the King Power Stadium tonight, though.
Let's hope not. Let's run through some of the scores that have already happened in the early games. Bristol City 1, Shrewsbury 1. That one's going to a replay. Millwall, they made no such slip up against Newport. They won 3-0, convincing win for them. They're into the next round. It finished Rochdale 1, Newcastle 1. Newcastle leading for much of that one. Rochdale got themselves back into it and really probably should have won it at the end. Shouldn't they, Matt?
Yeah. The young lad, I didn't catch his name, but he screwed it wide. Golden opportunity, wasn't there? He had to grab the headlines. You could see he was interviewed afterwards. Still frustration was there, wasn't it? But what could have been. Still might be, though, in the replay.
Yeah, that's the one that's gone closest to a shock, I guess, so far in those early games. Birmingham have beaten Blackburn 2-1, a last-minute goal there for Birmingham, sending them through. Burnley have beaten Peterborough 4-2, and a really late goal looks to have sent Hull City through. Yes, full-time whistle has just gone. Rotherham 2, Hull City 3, and that was after Rotherham were in the lead in that game. There's also loads of other games still to come, of course, throughout the weekend. We'll look at some of today's very soon, but from a Leicester City point of view, Matt, what are you expecting today? You just said to me just before we went on air, £10 if you can name the team.
Yeah, exactly. It is, I'm not going to say not your head scratching at the moment, but you don't know exactly how Brendan's going to go. It's not easy to read, which is a good thing. Keeps the players on their toes as well. And unexpectedly, some people get opportunities, as we saw last week with Papi Mendy, against West Ham, for example.
Yeah, that was a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not even... I haven't got the concentration levels to try and work out the team. I'm just going to wait till it turns up, then comment on it. But I don't know where to start in terms of, the one you've mentioned it off here, Benkovic, keeps getting a mention from Brendan Rodgers. So you wonder, you think, right, is it his time to get that first start in a Leicester shirt in the first team? Be interested to see him, because the little minor glimpses that I've seen of him, he looks quite impressive in terms of technically, and he looks the part physically. He's an athlete, isn't he? 6'4", 5".
Yeah,
and
6'4", isn't he?
built as a presence, and he can play, definitely. He's just learning the game, a little bit like Sounchu had to, but perhaps he's not grasping it quite as quickly. But be interested to see if he gets an opportunity. But it's going to be difficult to generate, the energy and the atmosphere that Leicester do in some games, the bigger games, for want of a better phrase, because you can already tell in the building, in and around, in this stand, it's quite relaxed, and people are moseying about and having a nice little chilled Saturday evening, and and that can transfer itself to the supporters, the atmosphere there, but then subsequently to the players. And that it's hard to. They're going to have to really attack the game, to stir the crowd up. I think, because not that Leicester, are being casual in any way, but the supporters. There are quite a few games to deal with at the moment, and there's natural sort of highs and lows, aren't there, and lulls, and you just sense it sometimes.
Yeah.
So the players have got to go. They've got to stir the crowd up really, and more than the other way around. I think today, but it'll be interesting. And for that reason, I think Brendan will spice it up a bit with his selection. Players out there who are desperate to prove a point and desperate to get out there.
Well, Vardy's not playing again by the sounds of it, is he? He's.
I wouldn't have thought he would.
I think he's virtually been ruled out. But
that's already been said, yeah?
Yeah. He's going to start training again on Sunday and should be available for, I suppose, the big one, isn't it, really, against Aston Villa on Wednesday.
It's not that much as much of a concern as it used to be, Nev, is it?
No.
Even 3 weeks ago, people still keep forgetting that Leicester have coped on numerous occasions without Vardy. Obviously, you want him in the side. Yeah. You want him there for the semi-final, of course. But Leicester got enough firepower even without Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, a quick word back on Benkovic, because the fans haven't really seen anything of him. They'll look forward to seeing him. But the thing from his point of view is he had the opportunity to go out on loan. Brendan Rodgers has said that. But the fact that Rodgers worked with him at Celtic, of course, and he said, no, I want you here. There's always been that obvious trust between the pair of them, and he's waited for his chance. So this is his to grasp.
Oh, yeah, I bet he's looking forward to it if he is going to play. I mean, the signs are he might, very well start. And interestingly enough, I mean, Brendan Rodgers was saying that Benkovic, when he went up to Celtic, and Brendan was there, in that first part of the season, he apparently was absolutely brilliant. And he said he played really well against a couple of European teams when they were playing in the Champions League, wasn't it? And he was, saying he looked really good. But then I think he got an injury, and it knocked him out of contention for a while. And it's a long while since he's played at all. So he was going to go out, as you said, he was going to go out on loan at the start of this season, but Brendan wanted to keep him here. I think at that time, I think he wasn't sure really about Soyuncu. He'd be slightly concerned about Wes Morgan because of age. But since then, both Morgan and Soyuncu have done more than anybody really expected them to be able to do. Certainly Soyuncu, I think, has been the surprise of the season, or so far. And then you've got Johnny Evans, who I don't think he's missed a game, has he? He's played every single game. Well, if anybody deserves a little break tonight, it might be Johnny Evans, so who knows? Yeah, but Benkovic, I think, looked... I like Matt. I only saw glimpses of him. I think it was pre-season, not this pre-season, the first pre-season, and he looked okay.
From the feeling you said, everything feeling quite relaxed. Wigan will be coming here thinking, all right, Leicester have had a really busy time. They've got the cup semi-final on the way. There's an opportunity for us, but also they're thinking we're struggling in the Championship. Yeah. This is actually a week for us to probably get some rest.
Yeah, again, it'll be interesting on their selection, which way Paul Cook approaches it, isn't it? Because you've just given the two sides of the coin there. Wigan supporters will hope that they're coming here to give their all with as strong a team as possible, and who knows, cause an upset. But I wouldn't be surprised if he erred on the side of caution a little bit, to be honest, because as we all know, there's a heavy fixture schedule for everyone in the Championship. Are Wigan realistically going to advance too much further? Revenue, of course, it helps, doesn't it, to an extent, but the primary concern is that relegation issue in the Championship, and you think they're coming here, and also it's not like, even if they wanted to be positive-minded, they could come here and think, well, okay, and Leicester are probably going to make a few changes and they're going to play a weakened team, but as we've seen over the last couple of games, Leicester don't really have a weak team.
No. You couldn't call them reserves, really, could you?
No, exactly. It's all one, obviously individuals within it, but like level of squad, pretty much. So whatever team Brendan picks is going to be more than capable of winning a Premier League game, never mind an FA Cup third round against a championship opposition. So that sort of disheartens you a little bit, in your preparation maybe. I don't know. But then again, managers want to make a name for themselves, and players do. But managers have gone on just because they've had a good cup run. They've sometimes got that move because it puts them in the spotlight, etc. Paul Cook's not necessarily one who clamours for the attention, I don't think.
But I think the thing for Wigan, Matt, as well, is the fact, I mean, what you've said is their priority this season has got to be trying to save themselves from relegation.
Yeah.
And things have changed rapidly in that at the bottom end of that championship with the return of Nigel Pearson to Watford, because Nigel suddenly is doing an incredible job at Watford, is getting them almost out of the relegation zone. So other teams who thought that they might be safe are now being pulled into it. So I'm sure Paul Cook and Wigan will have their eyes very much on at least surviving in the championship, and it's going to be a real battle for them. So again, I mean, he's got a couple of key players missing tonight anyway through injury, and I'm like you, Matt. I know he said I'll put out my strongest side, but who knows?
Well, lots of people asking what is the Leicester City lineup this afternoon. You'll find out at the start of Matchday Live, which is here from 4:30 on LCFC Radio. Right, before we go any further, we need to start today's punny old game, gentlemen. We need a lineup of footballers with puns in their name. What do you think of when you think of Wigan?
The pier.
Along those lines, what else do you think of Wigan? Pies.
Pies, yep.
Today we're talking pies.
Yeah.
Well, Wigan pie. You can't go to Wigan
What's
and
a
not have
Wigan pie?
Wigan pie? That's the most famous thing from Wigan. apart
it?
from
And the pier.
What's in the pie then?
All sorts of stuff. What are you putting in your pie? You can have
What
fillings.
sorts of all sorts? Tell me.
You tell me.
Details.
I need them in your puns. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about pies. We're talking pie fillings. We're talking what you need to make a pie. I'll start you off. Ryan Shortcrust. He can be your centre half. On the way, we'll look at some of the other games in the FA Cup today.
Struggle
And
up.
in terms of our music, we're going for a bit of a Wigan playlist. These guys met at Music College in Wigan. Star Sailor, Four to the Floor.
You right from the start.
There we go, the first song of our playlist today of Wigan artists, and that one was Star Sailor, 4 to the Floor. It's just coming up to 2:45. You're listening to LCFC Radio. It's the Pre-Match Pint, brought to you by Chang Beer. Leicester City against Wigan in the FA Cup today, and because of that, our funny old game is pie fillings. Because Wigan's famous for its pies, Matthew Elliott.
Did you not know that?
No, it's not. No, never heard it.
Never heard of a Wigan pie. Bakewell tart or something or whatever.
Off you go.
You must have had time to Google the ingredients of a Wigan pie then, if you want to prove your
Oh, no,
point.
I haven't had time. I haven't done that yet. But actually, have you got anything for me?
Well, I have. I'm not happy with any of them.
No, I've got
7.
Oh,
Wow.
7.
Okay.
I've got 3.
Go on, you go, Nev.
No.
Embarrass
You
yourself
want?
before
I was
me.
going to say, yeah.
You go before.
I don't know whether it's the right sort of thing, but I can remember a striker named Brian Kidney.
Brian Steak and Kidney.
Brian Kidney.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Remember him?
There was a
Where is he now?
He's got
He's still at Man City, isn't he?
what, Brian
Still-
Kidd? Yeah,
in the backroom staff.
Yeah,
I think
he's
he is.
involved there,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah. And I've got a Colin Appleton. Colin
Yeah.
Appleton pie. Colin Apple Python.
Yeah.
Is that any good?
Yeah.
Or
Like
just,
it.
Or just the apple.
Or
Just
just
have
the
the pie, Appleton, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one
Michael
more.
Appleton.
One
Michael
more.
Appleton.
Centre half at Leicester City. Matt Pryor, but it could be Matt Pryor.
Matt Pryor. We'll put that on the edges.
Spencer Pryor.
Spencer
isn't it?
Pryor, yeah, Spencer
I was
Pryor.
confused.
Yeah, that was me as well.
I thought it was going to be a play on you there for a second.
I was looking at you while I called him
before
Matt.
we come
Spencer
to
Pryor.
Okay.
Pryor.
Spencer
Yeah.
Pryor. Right, before we come to you, Matt, we've got Fee going for Steve Cherry as our goalkeeper. Nice cherry pie.
Oh, that's not bad.
And we've
Trevor
got
Cherry.
a very good one actually that's come in from Russell, Dimitri Payet.
Oh, yes.
Take that. Go on then, Matthew. 7
stuff.
over to you.
Yeah, but they're varying standards, none of them good. Craig Shortbread. Pastry, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we read that right. Anyway. My hero as I grew up as a young whippersnapper. I had the pleasure of meeting him via Alan Birch, so thank you for that, Birch. Tony Curry Pie.
Nice.
Tony
yes.
Curry.
Yeah.
Martin Foyle, as in the foil wrappers that hold the pies, pucker pies.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Baker, okay, he used
Yeah.
to play centre forward for Hartlepool.
like it.
Numerous other teams. Tim, he's got to be there, isn't he? Tim Flower.
Yeah.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Right. Dave Needham, as in kneading the flour of the pies.
I'll tell you what, for someone who's been putting them down,
Right. He was a centre half in Notts Forest back in the day. And my favourite one, Scottish legend, Rangers winger, Gravy Cooper.
great. I'll tell you what, for someone who was belittling himself,
I was gonna say,
he's
yeah.
done pretty
You
well.
happy with them, eh?
I like
Yeah,
them.
right, okay.
Dave Needham for me.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Right, let's have a look at what else is happening in the FA Cup today.
I said many times, we try to play every game seriously and give a lot of importance no matter the competition we are playing.
The next game is always the more important one, no matter which competition we are involved in. It's a new game, so new things will happen, new challenge, and we know it's gonna be tough. Fantastic team.
Fourth time in my time there already at Molineux, and we haven't won yet, so we know we've got to earn the right to win there. We've got to play well, we've got to perform. We want a reaction after a defeat against Arsenal.
We'll try and pick the strongest team that we can. I think there will be a couple of players that will miss out who have been nursing injuries, but it's a really important game for us. It's a game that we have to try and perform very, very well in, try and get through to the next round, to give everyone that lift that only winning can give you.
Anything can happen in it, and that's why it's the best cup competition in the world. Of course, we'd like to go as far as we did last year and maybe improve. That's without question. But again, it's you don't get there by thinking too far ahead. You focus on Sheffield Wednesday, which is the next match.
We have the opportunity to go to a Premier League club that are doing very, very well in recent weeks. We understand exactly how big that challenge is, but it's a game that we're looking forward to. It's, it's fresh and different from the league.
There we go, some of the managers from today's games in the FA Cup. At 3:01 we have Brighton against Sheffield Wednesday, Cardiff against Carlisle, Fulham against Aston Villa, Oxford United against Hartlepool, Southampton against Huddersfield, Brentford against Stoke, Preston versus Norwich, Reading versus Blackpool and Watford against Tranmere. Then 5:31 it's Bournemouth against Luton, Leicester against Wigan of course, Wolves versus Manchester United, Fleetwood Portsmouth and Manchester City against Port Vale. We heard there from Pep Guardiola saying they need to take every game seriously as they welcome Port Vale to the Etihad. Nuno Espirito Santo expecting a tough game when they go up against Manchester United, hoping to knock them out of the cup once again. And we heard from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying he hasn't won at Molineux since being Manchester United manager, despite 4 visits so far. Eddie Howe says they need to perform for a lift at Bournemouth after a strange run of form for them, and also Potter at Brighton saying they'd like to improve on their cup run last year, which was pretty impressive. And then we heard from Danny Cowley saying he's relishing the Premier League challenge as he takes his Huddersfield side to Southampton this afternoon. Always throws up some great games. Seemingly always throws up Wolves against Manchester United as well. And incredible that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 4 games there, hasn't got a win there yet.
Sign of the times though, isn't it? One in terms of how far Wolves have come, but also how far Man United in relative terms have plummeted, haven't they? It's a patchy form of late, Man United. You never quite know what you're going to get, but Wolves will fancy their chances, won't they? Although a lot's going to be dependent on the team selection, I think. Man U, they're going to make... I would imagine they'll make a few changes if they can, but they haven't, weirdly, sounds bizarre to say, haven't got the strength and depth to rotate too much, have they, without really... harming their chances. So I do fancy Wolves in that. Yeah, the Cowley brothers have done a job since going to Huddersfield. Obviously, they were rumoured for a while to go to different clubs and escape from Lincoln. Not escape necessarily. They rather enjoyed their time, but there was always the chance that they could progress. They've chosen Huddersfield, who were in a spot of bother. They've done well, and you can almost see them going to Southampton and having a real go.
Well, you heard with the interview, he sounded... quite enthusiastic about going, and as he said, anything can happen, and as you said, Lewis, in the build-up, anything can happen and does happen on the, third round day. Southampton are a bit of a mixture, aren't they? They're blowing hot and cold. I think they won the last game when they perhaps weren't expected to, but played pretty well. Was that against Spurs? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. And. So that was a surprise, but you just never know. It would still be a shock for me. For Huddersfield to go to Southampton and win there, but like Rochdale have done today, I can see that going possibly to a replay, which really would give Huddersfield a chance. So it's a typical third round tie that I think could be in the balance.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of those shocks very shortly because we're going to play a bit of a game with that throughout the show today. In terms of Eddie Howe talking about the fact that Bournemouth really could do with a win, they welcome Luton today, but it's one of those games that you're looking at thinking that could be a shock because of the way Bournemouth have been playing. Luton haven't been having a great time of it, but actually...
I think they'd be hugely grateful that they're at home, Bournemouth. If it was the other way round, you'd be keeping an eye on that fixture, wouldn't you, for an upset. But I think getting Bournemouth, when they change their team, they need strengthening in terms of depth of their squad. But I think they've got enough to get through that at home, even though confidence is low. And Luton is a bit of respite for them, maybe, isn't it, from the grind of the Championship. But and the pressure is on Bournemouth at the moment, and a lot of it's on Eddie Howe as well. Even speculation starts about even him possibly losing his job. I think he's only...
That's incredible as well,
he's
isn't
only
it?
won like 3 in 16 or something, something like that. So, other people have lost their jobs for less, but personally I don't think that would be the right thing to do because they've gone through barren periods before and he's come out the other side. There are reasons why they've got a lot of injuries, etc. So, he probably... Well, they need any sort of win, don't they, at the moment? And he probably wouldn't be too fussed if they did go out of the competition, to be fair. But then again, you've got the negativity, haven't you, of and the embarrassment, if we want, of going out at home against the Championship side. But would probably be a blessing for him in the long run. But
that might be when the fans turn, though, wouldn't it? They'd be upset.
Yeah, exactly. It just increases the pressure. And
I mean, it is astonishing with Eddie Howe that 12 months ago, everybody was lauding him as going to be one, if not one of the one of the best managers around anywhere. He was being touted for top jobs.
I know people's enthusiasm sometimes, which affects their ability for the job, can change, can waver. But generally, like you were saying there, Nev, if he's a good manager or coach, he's a good manager or coach. Sometimes it doesn't always go your way. He's proved himself before. He's shown extra qualities that he's got because he's turned it round on a number of occasions. So what's to say he won't do it again? But I know people come to the end of their cycle, if you like, at times, but I don't think the time's just yet.
Well, loads of great games in prospect this afternoon. Some of those are about to kick off in the FA Cup. But a little game for us all to play here. I want us all to pick 3 upsets from today, and we'll reflect on these later on after the end of the Leicester City game. But from the fixtures today, we'll go through them while the song's on, boys, don't worry. But I want us all to pick 3, and we're going head to head to try and guess
3
which
shocks.
Ones. Yeah, you want to get a shock out of them, not just a straight Man City win against Port Vale.
No. Okay.
So I want to go.
Or do we get 1 point a shock?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah,
or something like that. We'll go through those and we'll reveal who we have chosen for our FA Cup shocks. After this, Lamal was from Wigan. So here's Kajagoogoo and Too Shy on LCFC Radio. You're listening to LCFC Radio. It's the Pre-Match Pint brought to you by Chang Beer. It's just gone 3 o'clock. Let's get your latest news headlines.
You're listening to LCFC Radio.
The Foreign Office has strengthened its warnings over travel to parts of the Middle East after a US airstrike killed Iran's top general. British nationals are being advised against going to the country unless it's essential. Qasem Soleimani's death was ordered by Donald Trump. Richard Ratcliffe's wife, Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe, has been detained in Iran since 2016. He's deeply worried.
It's a setback for any potential for rapprochement. We are a bargaining chip. Those considerations and calculations change hugely. And of course, Nazanin is held by the Revolutionary Guard. Almost all of the foreigners who are held hostage are being held by the Revolutionary Guard anyway. They're not good guys, but they're now angry, not good guys.
A suburb of Sydney was the hottest place on Earth today as wildfires continue to burn. Temperatures hit 48.9 degrees in Penrith. Protesters have gathered outside an RAF base in Northamptonshire where Harry Dunn was knocked down and killed in August. They're calling for Anne Sakoulas to be extradited from the US after the fatal crash. 2 men who made allegations of sexual abuse against Michael Jackson have been given the go-ahead to pursue claims against 2 of his companies. The late singer's family has denied the accusations. Part of the M1 motorway has been closed after 2 lorries crashed early this morning. It's southbound between junction 12 at Flitwick and 13 near Milton Keynes. That's the latest. I'm Elizabeth Secker.
LCFC.com, Facebook and Twitter. You're listening to the Pre-Match Pint, brought to you by Chang Beer.
Afternoon, welcome to the show. It's the Pre-Match Pint on LCFC Radio with me, Lewis Mason, Matt Elliott and Nev Foulger as we get ready for Leicester City against Wigan Athletic in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Of course, kickoff is at 5:31 this afternoon. Why 5:31? We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Also on the way, we have Matchday Live from 2:30. And we'll have all the team news ahead of today's game. A couple more suggestions for the punny old game. We're playing Wigan, so we're talking all about Wigan pies.
Concentrate on that. We've got quizzes, puns going on, cups. Oh, too much going on.
You're right, Matt? Okay.
I hope the listeners have contributed.
Well, Paul
we
has.
haven't.
Paul has. We've got a striker. Timu Pucker Pie. Pookie Pie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pucker Pie.
that'll do.
Good invention.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, I
invention.
like it.
Yeah.
I've also had a suggestion of chicken and Ian Rushroom. Chicken and Ian Rushroom pie.
Do you know what? Just for the effort that's been put in for that, yeah.
It's not a bad one, is it? Leicester City are the best team in the world. We're going to win everything, says Mark.
Oh,
Hey,
can't beat that.
very confident.
Slightly overconfident.
But however, Pauline says, City, always remember you were once the underdogs. Just be careful of giant killers. Good luck, Foxes. There you
Very
go.
sound
Hey,
advice.
both sides of the fence.
That's what they need to remember, the lads. Like, try and be professional, drill that into themselves. Because if you do the job right, they go through.
There you go. Right, gents, you can carry on thinking of some puns while I provide the non-league update. Here we go. League Premier Central Division, and having picked up a point away at Nuneaton in midweek, Colville Town will be looking for a first win of the new year as 18th place Leiston visit Owen Street this afternoon. Barwell, meanwhile, they will look to follow up their fine 2-1 win over Banbury when they go in search of another 3 points, this time away at AFC Rushton and Diamonds. Here's Simon Matheson.
There's just 1 place and 1 point separating these 2 teams as the league table stands. AFC Rushton Diamonds being 1 place and 1 point ahead of Barwell, having played 1 less game. Barwell go into the game after a 2-1 win against Banbury United on New Year's Day, a win that was completed with just 10 men on the pitch for nearly an hour, and having gone 1-0 down to a strong and lively Banbury United team.
Now, in the Northern Premier League South East Division, Loughborough Dynamo will be looking for back-to-back victories, having won in midweek. Today, Spalding United are the visitors to the ADT Stadium. And watching this one is Kieran King.
And those come to the clash having won their first league away game this season after beating Chasetown 1-0 on New Year's Day, thanks to Max Bartley-Rowe's second goal for the club. The Modes will be looking to strengthen their impressive home form this season after winning 6 of their 10 so far. Sporting will come with a stern test though, as they have already beaten Dynamo once this season back in August.
In the Midland Football League, the top 2 go head-to-head as Heather St John's take on leaders Coventry United. Here's Josh Reed.
Last time out for the Saints, they recorded a 2-1 victory against neighbours Gresley. It's in for an exciting game at the weekend as Coventry United currently sit top of the table, whilst Heather St John's sit second, meaning it's a very important day for the top of the MFL Premier Division.
So on to the United Counties Premier Division, and Loughborough University entertain Peterborough Northern Star today, and looking forward to this one is Mayank Kabadi.
Loughborough will look to get back to winning ways after the loss against Cairn a few weeks ago. This has seen the Scholars drop to 5th in the table, 4 points behind the league leaders. The Scholars would want the likes of Dawes and Smith to lead the attack and continue their rich goal-scoring form. Peterborough, who are 11th in the table, will look to replicate a similar performance when they hosted the Scholars, where they beat them 3-2.
Right, now on to our featured game of the day at the top of the UCL Premier. Leaders Quorn travel to second place Shepshed Dynamo, and Quorn manager Willis Francis is excited.
Looking forward to the game against Shepshed. I think it's come at a right time for us, off the back of a couple of good wins, especially the one away against Loughborough, and keeping a clean sheet was excellent for us. We know the opposition, we know what they've got, we know how strong they are and what a threat they're going to be going forward especially. But obviously we've got a plan for that. We're not going to sit back and just let them play. We're going to be after the game.
There we go, loads of games taking place across the area today, and best luck to all our teams.
The Pre-Match Pint, brought to you by Tang Beer.
Yes, welcome back to the show. Any puns in that time that we were seeing what was happening around the local area, Nev?
Well, I'll need a ruling really from you. Would chili count for going into a pie? Chili? Would you put chili into any sort of pie?
What you want in a pie? It's not an everyday ingredient, is it? It's probably in a Wigan pie.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll go for Ben Chili well.
No, you can't have it.
Nah, Matthew, better
no,
then.
No, I can't. I peaked too soon.
You did.
I nearly used a different word there, and I didn't want to, really didn't want to. I peaked too soon, which is.
To be fair, we're not far off. I think we need.
I know, but we've got to drag it out. Should have
another defender, maybe another midfielder. I haven't put Brian Kidney in there yet.
You're
sort that out.
limited a bit, aren't you? With you? Yeah, you have to start.
But you did with your Needhams and your foils. You were looking outside the box.
What Nev just did, chili. What's that got to do with pie, really? But good effort, but not good enough.
You've started doubting yourself, Matthew. You've started doubting
4
yourself.
out of 10.
I knew it was going to go wrong somewhere.
Well, let's go back to our other discussion
I keep trying to get. There was a player called Keith O'Neill,
right?
Irish fellow who played for Norwich, left winger, good player. Got moved to Coventry, I think. But I was trying to make Keith O'Neill into Beef and Ale. Beef and Ale.
You can't.
And then I packed in. I thought, no, can't have that. Can't have chili. Can't have that.
And I can now recall why I'd got Matt Pryor instead of Spencer Pryor, because Matt Pryor.
Because you're daft as a brush.
Because I'm old and forgetful. No, Matt Pryor was the England wicket keeper, wasn't he? So there we go.
Crossed over, then me
crossed over
Spenner.
to the cricket.
Yeah. Let's talk about FA Cup upsets then. We're going to pick 3 each. Where are the upsets coming today?
This is even harder than the old game. This one.
They're on.
Right.
I'll go for 3.
I've gone Rochdale to nick a draw against Newcastle.
Do you reckon they're going to get a draw out of that one?
Yeah, I'm confident of that one, mate.
I've gone with that one.
No. Right, okay. I'm going. There aren't that many standout ones.
There aren't.
Well, you mentioned Man City, Port Vale.
If it was the other way round, that'd be good.
Even then, I wouldn't fancy it. But yeah, you obviously have a look at it. I think Preston versus Norwich.
See, I was going to go for that one.
And I've gone for it.
Then I saw Preston have made 9 changes.
Oh.
And they're 1-0 down after 4 minutes.
Oh, right. I'll scrub it then.
And keep us sent off.
I've gone for Fleetwood against Portsmouth.
But is that an upset, though?
What, Portsmouth going to upset Fleetwood?
No, well, I don't know.
Same league, aren't they?
Yeah.
So who you going for there?
Who's the upset?
You draw.
I hope you're not going to say Pompey are going out. That's what
He's making
Just
that
tell
when he goes along today.
I only used it because of Pompey.
Thought you did.
Yeah.
I'm going for Sheffield Wednesday to win at Brighton.
Well, I've gone for that as well, reluctantly at the end, because I think Brighton changed it around a bit, wouldn't they? But, I still think they've got enough, but because it was clutching at straws, I thought that was one of the more likely ones. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday doing all right, aren't they?
Not doing bad.
Yeah, they'll fancy it down there.
I've gone for the one that we were talking about earlier, Southampton and Huddersfield. Huddersfield to either get a draw or even sneak a win there.
With the county's reputation, in the cup competition, yeah. I don't know why I didn't fancy it. I just fancied Southampton.
Yeah.
Don't know why. So I've gone for Fulham against Villa.
I've also gone for Fulham against Villa. And I've gone for Luton against Bournemouth as well. So my 3 are Sheffield Wednesday, Luton and Fulham.
That's just your Portsmouth affinity coming out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Eh? Don't
Why
be a
is that?
bitter man.
Why is that? I've not gone for Huddersfield against Southampton, have I? That's Nev.
Make it too obvious, did you?
There we go. Sheffield Wednesday, Luton and Fulham for me. Round yours up, please.
Preston, Norwich, Fulham, Villa, Brighton, Sheffield Wednesday.
And Nev, round your 3 up, please.
I've gone Southampton, Huddersfield, but Huddersfield the shock, obviously. I've gone Preston, Norwich, and I can't change it. But despite the fact that you've killed it off with the, well,
you went Fleetwood.
Yeah, I was really.
Even though we don't know who's upsetting who.
It was really just to
upset
sort of get a reaction.
At least you get an upset out of it, don't you?
Yeah. Just for the love of it, Man City and Preston.
Port Vale, you mean?
Port Vale, sorry, more Port Vale. I
think we'll go to a song, shall we?
Yeah.
It's 0-0 in
Yeah.
all the 3 o'clocks, apart from that Preston against Norwich game where Norwich have taken an early lead at Deepdale. Right, back to our playlist then. So, Wigan-based artists. What have you got over your shoulder, Matt? Anything?
Like Oxford, Hartlepool, and I didn't even really consider that, but Hartlepool have gone 1-0 up at Oxford and fancy that. Watford 1-0 up.
There we go. Goals are flooding in.
Flying.
We'll bring you up to date with what's happening after this. Another artist from Wigan. Kim Marsh is from Wigan. She was in Hearsay, so
that.
there is a chance to play Pure and Simple.
You've been saying I'm driving you crazy, and I haven't been around for you lately, but I had a few things on my mind. When I'm with you, I am filled with emotion. Can't you see that I'm giving you devotion? And a love like this is hard to find. I know I've been walking around in a daze, baby, baby. You gotta believe me when I say, wherever you go, I wanna be there. Whatever you do, you know I wanna be there. Pure and simple, I'll be there.
There we go. Hearsay, pure and simple. We need to find out where the other members of Hearsay live because we need to whack that one out a few more times this season, I think. What do you think, Matt? Big fan?
Yeah, catchy.
Anthony
Pure
said,
and simple, that's like me and Nev, double acting it. I don't know which way round though.
Anthony said, yeah, there's no purity coming from your side of things, Matthew Elliott. No slip up today. Leicester need to keep the winning mentality going for the Villa game. That's what Anthony says. Also, Chris says, let's have 2 cup runs this year. And Chris says, you forgot Matt Piper. Thank you very much, Chris.
Well, to be fair, that did cross my mind when Nev got mixed up with Matt Pryor and Piper and all that. And it's like,
yeah, Matt Piper.
You got 2 in 1 there, Nev.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, you got 3 in 1.
3 in 1.
Yeah, but the good news is, if everything's dried up, it doesn't matter because Jerry Taggart assures us that he has the winning material for the punny old game. Good afternoon, Jerry.
What about you, Big Jerry?
Chaps, how are we?
All right, Gerald, come on in.
Okay, now this could be slightly controversial, but this person was a professional footballer of sorts.
There we go. Not Tony Stone again, is it? Horses, mate.
No, it's a guy called, believe it or not, Usain Balti Pie.
Oh. Very clever, Gerald. Very clever.
Yeah.
I was thinking Balti. I was thinking ball. I couldn't find anything to go with it. So you've invented someone from a different sport who kicked the ball around in the playground.
He went and played.
Australian team, was it, or something?
Yeah.
Signed as a professional footballer on the left wing.
Yeah, the Mariners or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
like that. I'll give you that.
Put that in your pie and eat it.
You assured us there was more than one, though, Tax. Any more?
Yeah, I've got some more. Left full back, used to play for Manchester United. Gabriel Heinz, bean and sausage pie.
Whoa there. Whoa.
Other brands of beans are available.
Marcus Bean.
Hang on. Bean and sausage pie. Is that another northern thing?
It's still a pie, my friend. And by the looks of your list, by the signs of it, you're struggling. They don't help you.
Yeah, we need assistance.
Okay, I've got one more.
Tax, what's in a Wigan pie, by the way?
Thomas Gravison. There you go. How about that?
That's not bad, is it? Thomas Gravison. Yeah, I'm just making a little note of that one. I'm going to leave Gabriel
Sterling
Heinz,
effort,
I think.
Gerald.
You're not having Gabriel Heinz beans?
Oh, just for invention purposes, yeah. Heinz beans and sausage.
Yeah,
I've never had one of them
and
pies.
sausage pie.
I've had beans on the side of my pie, not as part of it.
You haven't lived.
Sausage pie is a sausage roll.
You're a caveman, Elliott.
It's the longest surname I've ever heard.
Exactly. Well, Tags, do you know what's in a Wigan pie?
No.
No. Have you ever heard of a Wigan pie?
Never.
Correct.
Unbelievable.
Thank you. That's the theme of the day,
honestly,
and no one's even heard of it.
You lot need to get to Wigan more. Right, in terms of Wigan, they're coming to Leicester today. Jerry, what are you expecting from the football?
Up on the pies.
Well, yeah, I think, again, it's one of those games where we've seen, but thankfully not this season, where it's all down to the mindset and how the players approach this game. I'm sure Brendan's going to pick a pretty strong outfit today because, we'll want to progress. It's a good draw. It's a home draw, which is always a good draw against a struggling championship side, albeit their form in recent games has been good. They've only lost one in the last 6, but they're struggling at the bottom of the championship. And so I think Brendan Rodgers will pick a team and be fairly confident that they can get through today.
Absolutely, and I guess a couple of conversations probably been had about this time last year. Would they being reminded of that?
Absolutely, and I think you should do. And as I said, things have gone well this season as regards to the League Cup competition, and I think Brendan will want that momentum to be carried on over till Wednesday night. You know, so it's another important game for the club. You know, he won't want to get beaten by Championship opposition. That is for sure. So I think that will be reflected in his team choice today.
Yeah, what that team choice will be, we'll find out at the start of Matchday Live with Jerry Taggart and Dan Bates, who we haven't spoken to yet. Afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon.
How are we looking for Matchday Live? What's on the show?
Yeah, we'll be on at 4:31. Of course, it's a 5:31 kick-off this afternoon. We'll have team news straight away. We'll hear from two of the goal scorers in that win over Newcastle, Jose Perez and Hamza Chowdhury. We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers, Paul Cook. Obviously, we'll look at Wigan as well, and you've referenced that Newport game last season. We'll talk about how the approach might be different this afternoon than it was a year ago.
Dan Bates and Jerry Taggart, part of our Matchday Live team today, and they're with you on the radio from 4:31. As Dan just explained, why is it at 4:31? We'll look all about that, about the Every Mind Matters campaign. We'll tell you all about it very, very soon. Also, Hamza Chowdhury is going to be choosing some of his favourite songs because we're soon to run out of artists from Wigan. I don't know if that shocks you to know, but we will be finding out what Hamza's chosen very, very soon. But back to today's game for Leicester City. The word that we heard one of the supporters who got in touch mention, and Jerry's just mentioned, is mindset. And how big is that, or is it just a cliche?
I thought they banned from Wigan as well.
Mindset, live at 9.
There you go. Yeah, he's right. You know, it's nothing new, really. You know, even in the modern era, the basics still apply, don't they? You know, you've got to approach the game with the right mentality, the right focus. And if Leicester do that, it's highly likely that they'll go through to the next round. That is, apart from ability, of course, and sort of athletic prowess to an extent in some cases, but generally, it's the players that have got that concentration of focus that get to the higher level, because the main reason being, certainly from a defender stroke midfield point of view, they limit the amount of mistakes they make because they are concentrated and they're, you know, and focused. That they can eradicate that. They can get that mindset how it should be, and regularly over a period of time, so it just becomes normal. It becomes standard for them, and you know, that ability to do that, to get to a higher level, more often than not, allows you collectively to see the games through properly. But you know, we can. I'm not dismissing them by any means. You know, the Championship team in their own right, and they've had some good times of late on occasion, and it's not going to be straightforward for Leicester, that's for sure. But you know, I think ultimately Leicester have got enough about them, whatever the team would be.
Yeah, concentration is key, because how often do we see in cup games where the lower league side for so long are holding the higher league side, and even if you're not watching the game, thinking, oh, they're doing well, it's nearly half time, it's 0-0, then all of a sudden you see 3-4-0 to the stronger side, but that concentration is the reason.
Yeah, you know, that's certain part and parcel of it, and I think we've seen since Brendan Rodgers took over at Leicester, that's the sort of thing he instills into the Leicester side. They've got to have patience, but they've got to work hard. They have to win the ball back when they haven't got the ball. They try to win it back as quick as they can. He wants a lot of possession, and that mindset that we're talking about is what he's given them. And you know, their mantra is one game at a time. I don't think he differentiates, to be honest, between, you know, a Premiership game, an FA Cup game, or a League Cup game, might even be the Champions League game next season. I think his mindset is the next game, and he wants to see improvement all the time. And I think that's what we are getting now with Leicester. The other comment I was going to make as well is that in my younger day, and certainly probably in Matt's younger day as well, the third round of the FA Cup used to be regarded as one of the most exciting days on a football calendar. I'm not sure the way that football has gone that applies anymore. And when you look down, like we were looking down there to find shocks, you go through the lineups and you think, well, there's not a lot of really exciting cup ties in this third round. There is one or two shocks there, or maybe. But things are, there's so much football played now, and things have changed so much that the old third round magic, as it were, I'm not sure that applies anymore.
I think that's a little bit. It's been diluted a touch, Nev, hasn't it? Because of the fact that teams do rotate so much, really.
And change the sides.
If for instance, well, it's not that big a shock. If Sheffield Wednesday were to go to Brighton and win, it's only one division in it. But when there's a change of personnel, it puts you on a level playing field, doesn't it? And people are sort of semi-expectant of Sheffield Wednesday to go and get a result maybe at Brighton. It doesn't raise eyebrows, so the focus is not as intense.
Well, this afternoon it is, of course, Leicester City against Wigan, and we'll take a step back in time with Hutch for a bit of a history lesson very shortly. But let's finish off our songs and our playlist of Wigan artists. Richard Ashcroft from Wigan, The Verve, formed in Wigan, so this is Lucky Man.
Happiness, more or less, it's just a changing me something in my liberty. On my mind. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look up and watch my fever growing. I know just where I am. But how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. But I'm a lucky man with fire in my hands. Happiness, something in my own place. I'm steady, naked, smiling. I feel no disgrace. I am. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look up and watch my feet are growing. I know just who I am. And how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. I hope you understand. I hope you understand. Oh. No. Gotta love to live down. Happiness, more or less, it's just a changing me something in my liberty. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look up and watch my fever growing. I know on my mind. On my mind. On my It's just a changing me something in my liberty. It's just a changing me something in my liberty. It's just a genuine something in my liberty. Oh my, it's just a genuine something in my liberty.
Just gone 3:30. You're listening to the Pre-Match Pint on LCFC Radio, brought to you by Chang Beer. Right, FA Cup scores from the games that are currently in play. A couple of goals going in. Carlisle are beating Cardiff 1-0 at the Cardiff City Stadium. It's Oxford 0, Hartlepool 1, Preston 0, Norwich 2, Reading 0, Blackpool 1, and Watford 2-0 up against Tranmere with half an hour gone in that one as well. We'll keep you up to date with any goals as they go in, but in the meantime we need to bring to an end today's punny old game. But I know, Matthew, you've had a little thought, haven't you?
I've come up with a corker at the
Here
end.
it goes. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. You've seen a Wigan pie now?
I've seen it. Yeah, I do stand corrected, but I still don't know the ingredients.
No, I think they're just like
It's
pies.
just any old pie.
Well, in fact, a website says, "Welcome to Wigan, undisputed pie capital of the world."
Oh,
so
Really? Oh, you don't get much more categoric than that then, do you?
And the fact the football team used to have a mascot that was a pie. I don't know if it's still there, actually.
I hold my hands up there.
Right, go on then. What's your guess or your answer to submit at last minute?
Seeing as Tags was being a bit creative with
Yeah.
the old different
Gabrielle,
types of pie,
Heinz.
Heinz baked beans and sausages and whatever else he wants to chuck in the mix. This is quite clever though, even by my own admission.
Go on.
Goose, Ulan leek, and Tim cauliflower pie. Leek and cauliflower. Get in there.
Doesn't make the 11.
No,
Right,
no.
in
Really?
goal. Yeah, no, you're not having it.
The effort went into that. You're having a laugh, aren't you?
Steve Cherry Pie is our goalkeeper. We've got a back four of Spencer Pyer, Ryan Shortcrust, Dave Needham.
Whoa.
What?
Goose, Ulan leek, and Tim cauliflower pie doesn't get in ahead of.
There's too many. There's too many
Spencer
people.
Pyer.
There's two people, haven't it? Gabriel Heinz,
covered
beans
both
and
angles.
sausage.
Sorry, I'll let you carry
Come on.
I'm just having a moment.
Tags is Gabriel Heinz, beans and sausage.
Yeah,
gets
that's
in
allowed.
that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. One rule for one. And,
Oh dear.
Ooh, someone's rattled. Right, midfield.
I'm getting hungry.
Dimitri Payet, Tony Curry Pie. It's all this talk of pies.
Yeah.
Usain Bolty Pie and Gravy Cooper in our midfield. There you go. You got gravy in
Oh.
there. And then up front, Martin Foyle and Timu Puka Pie.
I bet his pie's downstairs in the canteen, isn't it?
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Right, let's have a bit of a history lesson with Hutch.
Good afternoon, John.
Hi Dan, you all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. The first weekend in January means one thing and one thing only, doesn't it? It's FA Cup third round weekend. Leicester City host Wigan Athletic. Now, normally for these history sections, we look back at three results, don't we? Or three home games against a certain team. But actually, there isn't that much history between Wigan and Leicester, is there?
There certainly isn't. Leicester have only played Wigan 4 times in their history, Dan. They were home and away championship fixtures in 2004-2005 and home and away championship fixtures in 2013-2014. And the first season, 2004-2005, Wigan were promoted to the Premier League. In the second season, 2013-14, Leicester were promoted to the Premier League.
So a little bit of symmetry there. So we'll go to the first one then. The season Wigan were promoted. And this is the 16th of April 2005. And again, we normally look at wins for Leicester, but this is actually a win for Wigan, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we've got so few games to choose from. Leicester 0, Wigan 2. Only the second time Leicester had played Wigan. The first match had been a 0-0 draw at Wigan the previous November. At the end of the season, Paul Jewell's Wigan, as I said, were promoted for the first and only time in the history, and they actually stayed in the Premier League for 8 years. On loan striker for Wigan, Brett Ormer had scored twice to see Leicester off and boost Wigan's hopes for automatic promotion, which is what happened. His first goal came when Paddy McCarthy, Leicester's defender, attempted a clearance from Graham Kavanagh's free kick, which then went in off him. His second, Ormerod's second, was when Kavanagh's deep corner was headed in emphatically by Ormerod. After the game, Leicester's boss Craig Levine said, "They were better than us. Of all the teams we've played here, they caused us more problems." It wasn't a good time for Leicester. and they actually finished 15th in the Championship that season.
Conversely, though, a fantastic achievement by Wigan to go up to the Premier League and as you say, stay there for so long.
Yeah.
Right, the second home game then, Leicester City against Wigan. As you've already said, Leicester got promoted at the end of that season, but there's a little bit of an FA Cup caveat in this one, isn't there?
Well, yes, because when Wigan came to Leicester on the 14th of September 2013, they came as FA Cup winners. They'd, against all the odds, beaten Manchester City in that, the cup final earlier that year. And this was the year that Nigel Pearson's Leicester convincingly won the Championship title. Moore put City ahead when he headed home after 15 minutes. He rose unchallenged at the far post to power a header into the roof of the net from Knockhart's corner. Wigan struggled to cope with the home side's pace and creativity early on. Nugent shot just wide. Vardy just failed to put Andy King clear with a neat pass on the edge of the penalty area. Knockhart and Nugent also went close to making it 2-0. But Leicester had to wait until late on to ensure a fourth win in 6 league games when Nugent scored from the penalty spot.
Hopefully it'll be a similar result then this evening. Obviously Leicester have never won the FA Cup, John. They've won just about everything else, but they've never won the FA Cup.
Well, Leicester hold the national record for appearing in the most cup finals, more cup finals than anybody else without actually winning it 4 times. And the last time they got there, when I grew up, Leicester were regularly going to the cup final. They went to 3 cup finals in the 1960s. The last one was 50 years ago. So I really do hope that they complete their trophy cabinet by winning the FA Cup.
Stay with us on LCFC Radio for Matchday Live with Dan Bates and Jerry Taggart.
Yes, they'll be on the way from 4:30 this afternoon. That'll be the first time we hear today's team news ahead of Leicester City against Wigan. A bit of a trip down memory lane with Hutch, as we always do, a look back at games against Wigan. We were talking about cup upsets in terms of this year, but Wigan probably produced the biggest cup upset of recent times when they beat Man City in the final, of course.
Yeah,
2013,
yeah,
that was, wasn't it?
I was thinking more about was it the Carabao Cup game when Wigan beat Man City in that? Am I inventing that?
I'm not sure. FA Cup final 2013.
Yeah, no.
Won. Yeah.
No, but it was Man City. Anyway,
there was another one.
It doesn't compare with
taking
with
the
that
trophy.
cup final. Yeah, I know, unbelievable. Strangely, you sort of semi-forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But that's a massive achievement, isn't it, for a club like Wigan to go, and especially against the might of Man City. But it was fluctuating fortunes, didn't they?
Yeah.
In that season, they got relegated as well, didn't they? Yeah. So that was Martinez, wasn't it?
I was just going to say who was the manager at the time.
Martinez
yeah.
made his name there.
7 years ago, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a strange
water under the bridge, but it's been tough times for him since, hasn't it?
And I guess Wigan fans will arrive here today really excited to be playing against Premier League side. Thinking, wait, not that long ago it was us, and now we're back to where we've been used to. They've certainly seen it all, haven't they, Wigan fans?
Absolutely. We talk about games of ups and downs, and clubs experience it. I mean, I remember, watching Coventry City win the FA Cup back in the 1980s, 87 I think it was, for the first time in their history, and that looked to be a moment that they would take off, and they did for a little while, but, you look at them now, and you think, why on earth, can you win an FA Cup and not build on that and end up in real trouble? And, Wigan in 2013... I mean, it was a huge shock even then. It would have been more so now with Pep Guardiola in charge and the players that Manchester City have got. But Manchester City in 2013 were a good side, so it was a terrific shock, and it must go down as one of the sort of big surprises at Wembley. In that. But I mean, they haven't really kicked on. From that Wigan, have they? It's been much of a muchness for them. I mean, they're not a wealthy club, really. So they're always, sort of fighting above their weight in a way. And good luck to them. Not tonight particularly, but good luck to them.
Yeah, one man who'll be very excited about today, of course, Steve Walsh will be coming up, seeing
You reckon?
the two teams he
right,
loves more
yes.
than ever together.
I can't believe we haven't seen him today. I thought he'd have popped in and shown his face. But he's
He always talks with fondness, doesn't he?
Loves the place.
I mean, he's actually from Preston, Walshy, but for those of you who didn't know, even though he lets everyone know, he used to play for Wigan, you know. Did you, Walshy, really? Yeah, I never heard that one before. But obviously his main club, was Leicester, 14 years here, and he's not known as Mr. Leicester for nothing, but he does have a deep association with Wigan as well. It's not his hometown club, but his first club as a young lad, and he talks about when he got his move from there. But I think he had some good times at Wigan as well. Like I don't know how long he was actually there, but in the short time he made a big impression, which is no surprise.
I think fans remembered him fondly, at Wigan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's still well thought of now.
Oh, yeah.
And then, obviously, similarly with Leicester, even more so with Leicester. But he'll be flitting around in the boxes, showing his face when he's getting involved in the atmosphere, probably popping up and back behind the pitch side interviews or whatever, he'll be bouncing up and down trying to get his face in there.
You mentioned Preston there, 3-0 down against Norwich in one of the 3 o'clock games this afternoon. Also, it's Cardiff 0, Carlisle 1, Oxford 0, Hartlepool 1, Reading 0, Blackpool 1, and Watford 3. Tranmere 0. So no signs of any of those shocks that we were.
Well, those first three are
Carlisle
surprises, aren't they?
Also beating Cardiff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at that and he thought, no, I can't see much happening there. But, I mean, what league are Carlisle in these days? Are they
League One?
No.
League Two.
No, they're 2, yeah. I'd say, I'm not sure if they were even conference. They did go out the league, didn't they? But, yeah, missed that one, didn't we? Missed that. Should've gone that. Cardiff are struggling, aren't they?
Yeah, keep you up to date with some of the scores going on. Also, we'll explain why today's game is starting a minute later than you'd normally expect. Also, on the way now, we have Hamza Chowdhury's playlist. It's the Players playlist, and it's his initiation song, Up First, and he had to sing Ed Sheeran and A-Team.
Lips, pale face, breathing in snowflakes, burnt lungs, sour taste. Lights gone, days end, struggling to pay rent, long nights, strange men. And they say she's in the class A team, stuck in her daydream. Been this way since 18, but lately her face seems slowly sinking, wasting, crumbling like pastries. And they scream the worst things in life come free to us, 'cause we're just under the upper hand. I'm going mad for a couple grams, and she don't wanna go outside tonight. And in a pipe she flies to the motherland, or sells love to another man. It's too cold outside for angels to fly, for angels to fly. Ripped gloves, raincoat, tried to swim, stay afloat, dry house, wet clothes. Change, bank 18, stuck in her daydream. Been this way since 18, but lately her face seems slowly sinking, wasting, crumbling like pastries. They scream the worst things in life come free to us, and we're all under the upper hand. Go mad for a couple grams. We don't wanna go outside tonight. In the pipe, fly to the motherland, or sell love to another man. It's too cold outside for angels to fly. Angels to
Ed Sheeran and A-Team. It's the Pre-Match Pint on LCFC Radio, brought to you by Chang Beer, as we move into Hamza Chowdhury's Players Playlist, and that was his initiation song. On the way, the song he's listening to at the moment, and a guilty pleasure that if you're driving to King Power Stadium and you've got the kids in the car, they'll enjoy that one. More on that to come a little bit later. Now, today's game kicks off at 5:31. That's because a 1-minute video narrated by Prince William will play before kickoff. It's part of the FA's collaboration with Heads Together to generate conversation around mental health. Now, also running this is in partnership with Public Health England's Every Mind Matters campaign. And there's lots of footballing people featuring in the video. Harry Maguire, Jesse Lingard, Frank Lampard, Martin O'Neill and Hamza Chowdhury, to name a few. And the video will share a very important message.
We all go through highs and lows. We can all sometimes feel anxious or stressed. At moments, even the little things can seem a struggle. But we can all start to change things. Every Mind Matters and Heads Up will show you the simple steps you can take to look after your mental health. Helping to boost your mood, improve your sleep, and feel ready for life's ups and downs.
Search Every Mind Matters to get your mind plan.
It only takes a minute to get started.
There we go. The audio from the video, which will be played before kickoff today. The reason that all the FA Cup fixtures are starting 1 minute after the normal scheduled time that the games would start. A really important message that's being delivered, and football using a good opportunity to show such a good light as well, Matt. And, you know, it's been very well received in the fact that the football community is kind of coming together to do that.
Yeah, very much so, and you know, not just in this context, but generally, you know, football uses its sort of national, global image, you know, to promote, you know, different good causes, you know, in terms of sort of fitness and exercise and well-being, etc. And you know, I was just having a look there on scrolling down on my social media, football world has got involved with the Australian bushfires as well. People are donating there from within the game, and there's a, you know, a lot of good work that is done in various areas. Some of it unnoticed or unmentioned a lot of the time, but you know, in this instance, yeah, the fact that it's affecting the kick-off times, people will notice that, and it will bring it to people's attention. No better patron than Prince William there to, you know, if people aren't going to listen to anyone, it's going to be him, isn't it? Yeah. You know, he's generally well respected by different walks of life across the country. You know, he's not of a political persuasion as such, but you know, he's just there to represent the country, and everyone's got an affection for him as well. So that hammers home the point. He's sort of intimated before that he's had little issues himself. Everyone does to one degree or another. And it's becoming more and more prevalent, isn't it? You know, since the day, people are getting it out there, but also they're trying to take it that step further, rather than just talk about it, get it out there. I heard people talking about it yesterday on the radio. They were saying, well, sometimes that is the hardest bit. Is talking about it for whatever reason, because circumstances, personality. But they're actually putting recommended building blocks for you to recognise in your own circumstances in whatever way you can make that work. And it's just bringing to people's attention and just helping assist a hell of a lot of people, isn't it? More than we realise.
I think using the football field as well is really interesting, because footballers get put on a pedestal and kind of get almost as if it's a different kind of life. But actually, when you hear people talking out who've been in the game, Darren Eady, I think, was one of the first to speak out.
How long have you got?
Yeah, exactly.
Like from ex-teammates of mine, myself included, to an extent, had not severe issues, but had downward feelings and whatever. Matt Piper, Walshy, Tags, we've all had it at different degrees.
Paul Merson's come out today, really, and
some at different levels to others, but
absolutely.
But you'll get. I mean, say for instance, I haven't heard what Hamza says on it, but say someone like Hamza, bright, young, upcoming lad, he might have little concerns about I don't know, different aspects of coming into professional football and the pressure of it, and the. He's a local lad. Is there an extra pressure there? Does he feel it? And it's all part of dealing with it. And some of it is just part of being a human being and growing up and having to develop such characteristics. But some of it, people find easier than others. And you can't really define everything. Everyone's different. But just to get awareness and acceptability of it as well, isn't it? And
how have attitudes changed since you kind of were playing football? Because you think of the football environment in male-dominated dressing rooms. You have to be kind of one of the lads. And are you allowed to talk about actually how you're feeling and if you're having a bit of a down day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I'm not involved up close hand, obviously. But I don't reckon it's probably changed that much. I think one massive area I think is it's more accepted, if that's probably not the right word, more commonplace, and it's more normal now, isn't it, to sort of, if people have got problems, because you've actually got psychologists stroke therapists employed by the club, and the players can go and have a chat at whatever level, whether it's young boys in the academy, I'm a bit worried that I'm not good enough, and something basic like that, because that would be a common concern for young lads. But then they speak to these therapists or the managers, the coaches, whoever, and they can help them through, and then realise they can maximise their potential, but then even into the professional world. But there is that support network now, which is massively different. But in terms of, I think the banter is, and the camaraderie and the sense of humour is still probably pretty similar, because when I do meet some of the lads, they've got similar mentality back to us, old dinosaurs, etc. It's still there, that macho changing room situation. And I don't personally, I wouldn't want it to go away. But at the same time, allow for people to express their feelings if they're not having, if they are having a few issues.
It's not just in football either. I mean, life in many ways now is a stressful affair, for a lot of people in football, outside football. I think the great thing on days like today is that because football is so popular, right round the world and round this country, for football itself to start trying to make people aware of the problems, whether it be stress or whatever, and someone like Prince William, as Matt said, taking a lead on it. It's amazing what can come through, through that, because I think outsiders would look at footballers, and think, well, why would they get stressed out? They're playing every week, they're earning massive money. When you read all the way, and all this sort of thing. And I think people looking in aren't aware of how stressful football itself is. But, often their own jobs are stressful in their own way. So I think that what's been done is terrific today.
Yeah, it's a 5:31 kickoff at King Power Stadium. So if you are heading to the ground today, then make sure you're in your seat for that, and you'll be able to see the video, which we've been talking about right now. Right, back to Hamza Chowdhury's Players Playlist. The song he's listening to at the moment, a bit of Lewis Capaldi.
Long hours and a few dying flowers, but you never seem to stick around. How could you let something so good go to waste and bleed the colours out? You don't know what you got till it's gone, know when it's right till it's wrong. It's such a perfect when you had it with you all alone. You broke your heart down with ease, now I'm picking up every piece. You must be so hard to please. I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes. Thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away. She gave you love, but it wasn't enough. You had your mind set out on other things. Can't sleep at night, now you're paying the price. You let another come and take your place. You don't know what you got till it's gone, know when it's right till it's wrong. It's such a perfect when you had it with you all alone. You broke your heart down with ease, now I'm picking up every piece. You must be so hard to please. I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes. Thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away. Thank you to the one who caused her heart to break. Oh, thank you for giving me a soul to say. Thank you to the one who let her get away. You know, I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes. Thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's. Oh, I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes. Thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away. Away.
There we go. A bit of Lewis Capaldi chosen by Hamza Chowdhury. That is the song that he's listening to right now. Well, I don't know if it's right now, but
Soppy old Hamza, isn't he?
yeah, wait till the next one.
Lewis
Hey?
Capaldi, Ed Sheeran, slow ballady type things. I was expecting a bit more funk from our man Chowdhury.
There you go. The thoughts of Matt Elliott. Not too happy with Hamza Chowdhury's music. Right, let's have a little listen to the latest news headlines. Here you go.
You're listening to LCFC Radio.
Mourners chanting anti-US messages have been marching in Iraq in a funeral procession after Iran's top general was killed in an American airstrike. The assassination has triggered fears of reprisals, and the UK is advising against travel to parts of the Middle East. Shadow Foreign Secretary Emily Thornberry is concerned about what's likely to happen next.
I'm worried that what America is trying to do is square up to Iran, and there's 83 million people in Iran. You know, innocent people. I'm worried about them, I'm worried about British troops being used in that action, and I'm worried about the tinderbox that is the Middle East.
Strong winds and extremely high temperatures are expected to worsen deadly bushfires in Australia over the weekend. 23 people are now known to have died and around 500 million animals. The country's Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, says every effort is being made.
There are clearly communities that need additional help. And in response to that, we must move forward first as a Commonwealth, particularly particularly with the work of our defence forces, and then integrate with the local operations that are in place.
Sir Rod Stewart has been charged by police in the US following an alleged altercation in Florida. The singer's accused of punching a security guard on New Year's Eve. Wigan MP Lisa Nandy has joined the race for the party's leadership contest. She says she wants to bring Labour home if she wins. That's the latest. I'm Elizabeth Secker.
LCFC.com, Facebook and Twitter. You're listening to the Pre-Match Pint, brought to you by Chang Beer.
Yes, afternoon. Welcome to the show. If you're just joining us, we're getting ready for Leicester City against Wigan. Third round of the FA Cup. There's some matches that are just getting going again in the second half of their games. We'll keep you up to date with any goal flashes from those. There were plenty of goals at Holmes Park last night. Leicester City's under-23s are now second in Premier League 2 after a 5-1 win against Wolves. Fair to say, Steve Beaglehole was pretty happy.
You couldn't ask for any more. I thought a very, very dominant display. Went in at half-time 3-0 up, but really it could have been a lot more. Some fantastic goals. George Thomas opened it up. Admiral, I thought was terrific. I believe Mickey's given him man of the match. He would have been my man of the match. We obviously had one eye on Tuesday night, so that's hence why we brought players off early, which was great to be able to do that because Tuesday will be a tough night. But it was, again, the influx of the senior players, JMO and Bartos, was terrific, and Matty James just had a few words with the lads after the game, which is great feedback.
Talking after Leicester City's under-23s won 5-1 against Wolves last night. Matty James played for them on his return from injury, and he was talking about the game on Tuesday there. They played Tranmere in the Leasing.com Trophy. We were talking about this last week, Matt, about Leicester's youngsters coming through, obviously so well renowned for bringing players through, like Hamza Chowdhury, like Ben Chilwell and Harvey Barnes too. And we said, well, the problem at the moment is Leicester's first team playing so well. They've almost got another whole starting 11 available outside the first starting 11. Where's the chance for them to break through? Well, all they can do is perform how they've been performing this season.
Yeah, exactly. But it's quite a sort of intimidating prospect, isn't it? Trying to break into this Leicester City squad, never mind the first team. It could be slightly sort of demoralising to an extent, and fair play to Steve Beaglehole for getting the best out of the development team. Because exceptional performances and goals flying in, and their form's been, largely excellent. And it's you say like Admiral. I know Admiral he's the same sort of age group as Harvey and Hamza, etc. coming through. There's a couple more, Leighton and Dooku and Darnell Johnson as well, and Josh Knight. They're all sort of similar age, and of course others around that. I'm just thinking about the lads that I was directly involved in. That I don't know. You must look at seeing what Hamza's doing and get a bit frustrated. When's my opportunity going to go, if at all? But look at Admiral's flying. I mean, he's an absolute beast these days. He's filling out. He's 6'3", athletic, strong, but he has a real eye for goal. He's an out-and-out goal scorer, but he can play as well. Don't get me wrong, he can get involved in the build-up play, but he's just naturally been a goal scorer from a young age. I think he could do a real job for someone. Hopefully Leicester at some stage, but if not, maybe going out on like a reasonably long-term loan and come back. But it's a difficult situation for them, isn't it? You don't know whether to stick or twist sometimes. Like George Thomas, I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but I think he's about 23, isn't he? 24. 24. Like, he's been at the club for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And not really genuinely threatened to get in the starting lineup. So what stage does he go? Because he's an excellent player. I know he's had league experience, hasn't he, on loan. But Steve Beaglehole's doing an excellent job, despite, I know he won't be listening now, but I gave him a little public ribbon at the Player of the Year Awards the year before last, only in a jokey way. And he still remembers it when I see him now. But it was all in the best possible taste. Biggs, he's a great lad and a very good coach as well.
And the good thing about the EFL Trophy, it's had people for it, people against it. Of course, first team squads from lower leagues taking on the under-23s from the Premier League. It works in Leicester City's favour with those players going up against players who play first team football every week.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it makes it more competitive, and as Matt's saying, you can see with the players coming through. The good news there as well was that Matty James managed to get a game.
Frustrating.
I was going to say, I mean, he's been out for a year, so we wish him the best of luck. And he was a good player. I thought Matty James
still will be. Yeah.
And hopefully, he'll either be able to go out on loan next season or play some sort of part, even in Leicester City's season.
Yeah, it's such a shame for him, really.
It was, and we were talking earlier about stress and everything in football. Somebody like Matty James must feel absolutely stressed out in the sense that, what he loves doing, which is to play football, he cannot do it because of an injury. And this is one of the things that footballers have to go through and try and get over it and bounce back. But it's not always easy. So I'm sure all of us wish Matty James a good recovery.
Right then, gents, goal of the month time. Supporters have got until the end of Wednesday to vote for City's goal of the month for December. Here are some of those that you're voting for.
Ricardo's overlapping. Is the ball through to Iheanacho? He's offside. Flag goes up. Iheanacho finishes brilliantly, but he's offside. The referee has given the goal.
Cross from the left, low towards an in-post in for 2-0. It's touched in by Kelechi Iheanacho. Jamie Vardy through on goal. Vardy! That will seal it.
Tries it into James Maddison outside of the right boot. Majestic. James Maddison. Jamie Vardy is in on goal there. Jamie Vardy, Anderson comes out, but he's lobbed it over him. And Leicester City have taken the lead.
He slits it forward into the area. Real chance for another goal. It's into the net. And Leicester City have a lead for a second time. Damari Gray. What a finish that is from the Leicester City wide man.
There we go. There are the goals up for the goal of the month. So it's Kelechi Iheanacho's VAR goal against Everton. His strike against Aston Villa as well, turning in Maddison's cross. Jamie Vardy's second goal against Aston Villa when he went through on goal and slipped it under the goalkeeper. Callum Wright versus Everton in the under-23s is nominated as well. Lovely first-time finish into the top corner from him. James Maddison against Everton in the Carabao Cup outside of the boot, putting Leicester in front in that one. Jamie Vardy scoring that goal against Manchester City against the run of play and lobbing it over Edison, and Damari Gray's goal against West Ham, of course, that winning strike on his return to the first team and the starting 11. Where are you edging towards?
Mine certainly would be Vardy's goal against Manchester City, the lob.
I'm with you, Nev.
But having said that, what a goal from Hamza. I know it's not in December, it's into January, isn't it? But what a goal.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for Maddison's.
I'd
probably go for Maddison's left foot.
I was just going to say, wrong. Hamza Chowdhury and Maddison.
You're right again. Wigan pie.
But Maddison reckoned that Hamza's goal was better than his. And it was, we were listening to his first playlist, and it was A1, he said. And certainly his goal was A1, wasn't it? And the first goal for the club, and beautiful.
But we're talking about December, Nev.
Yeah, I know. But I say
you're right though.
Yeah.
But of course, the only thing that takes the shine off Jamie Vardy's goal when you think about circumstances.
They lost the game.
No, it's the goal itself, though.
I
mean, in context, I mean, it makes it an even better goal because Leicester were under cosh.
Yeah.
And were afterwards as well. Sort of stirred the beast, didn't he, Vardy? But
however, has there been a more exciting moment than Iheanacho's VAR goal against Everton in the last minute?
For excitement, entertainment value. It was that one, wasn't it?
Exciting goal.
Celebration more than the goal. The goal was decent as well.
Yeah.
But there's plenty to choose from, which is always a good sign.
I mean, Maddison's goal was a screamer as well against Everton.
It was quality, wasn't
it? And Damari Gray was a cool finish. I mean, you've got there's been some cracking goals scored this season by Leicester and by Vardy. But I just thought the technique of that goal against Manchester City when he raced through.
Well, his pace took him
as well. Oh yeah, but his pace took him clear, and to be able to chip the goalkeeper at in full stride was just fabulous.
And the great thing looking down that list is the fact that it's not Jamie Vardy's name all the way through. And that would be something that would be really encouraging.
Yeah, that is something that Leicester need to keep an eye on. And they've shown, I mean, other than Maddison, no one's really scored a decent amount of goals, but people have chipped in. People have chipped in with a couple here and a couple there, haven't they? So more than sufficient. They do. Again, I think it's an area that Leicester can develop, though. That they've got more scope, I think, for more people to score more regularly. Perez, Barnes, definitely. Tillemans, maybe. And others, Johnny Evans, he's come close a few times lately, hasn't he? I know he's got himself a goal or two, or just the
three,
one.
I think, 3 scores.
So a couple, but he's also gone close a few times, which is good. Good that he's a genuine threat as well. So, looking good. Good that there's a selection to choose from.
Well, supporters have until end of play Wednesday to get your votes in for your goal of the month for December. Just check out the Leicester City website. Right, a couple of goals going in around the grounds. Cardiff 1, Carlisle United 2 in that FA Cup game. Hartlepool lead Oxford. Southampton have scored against Huddersfield. It's 1-0 to them. Brentford lead Stoke 1-0. Preston have got a goal back against Norwich. So it's Preston 1, Norwich 3, and elsewhere it's all staying the same. Brighton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Fulham 0, Villa 0.
No, Fulham just scored, mate.
Fulham just scored?
Yeah. Anthony Knockaert.
There we go. Old Leicester favourite. Fulham 1, Villa 0, Reading 0, Blackpool 1, and Watford 3, Tranmere 0. That's how the games are looking at the moment. We'll let you know if any other goals go in while we listen to Hamza Chowdhury's Guilty Pleasure from the film Moana. This is How Far I'll Go.
I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why. I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water no matter how hard I try. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. If I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go. I know everybody on this island seems so happy on this island. Everything is by design.
There we go. From Moana, it's Hamza Chowdhury's Guilty Pleasure. It's called How Far I'll Go. Matt Elliott, big fan of that one, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely all over that.
Now tell us what you said.
What is going on with Hamza?
Now tell us what you said when the mic was off.
No, I don't want to be rude. She had a lovely voice, but come on, Hams. He's not the man I thought you were, son.
There you go. Cardiff 2, Carlisle 2 in the FA Cup, and Reading 1, Blackpool 1. A couple of equalisers going in as about 35-40 minutes left in those games. Right, let's go and talk to our boys Dan Bates and Jerry Taggart as we get ready for Match Day Live. Afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
What is the food situation looking like? We're feeling hungry.
Chili.
It's nice.
Nice. And there's some hot salsa on the side. Make sure you put some of that on. And there's some guacamole as well and some coleslaw.
Tacos as well.
Well, here's a question for you then, lads. Are you allowed to have a chili pie?
Yes.
Oh, you can.
So I got
You're
Ben
in then,
Chili,
Nev.
Ben Chili well then. There you go.
Chili
Yeah, fair play. Didn't make our team, but I'll tell you what, Tags. Gabriel Heinz bean and sausage was our left back.
If you can have that, you can have a chili pie all day long,
Is
can't
he
you?
in there?
He
Is he
got
in there?
there. He got there.
Yeah, I'm just as well, or else I'll be
Tags,
straight in there.
what about this one then? Gus Ullenleek and Tim cauliflower pie.
Sorry?
So am I.
That was far too much for me to take in one hit. You're going to have to tell me that one again.
Oh dear.
Right, Tags.
I'll give you a call when you got this.
Let's get down to football. It is FA Cup. It's the third round. It was always one of the big events on the calendar. We were talking earlier about how maybe doesn't quite have that feeling perhaps anymore. However, Wigan will be coming with exactly that feeling, especially with the success they've had in the years and the memories that will stir.
Well, absolutely. You know, they've had a bit of a run in the FA Cup, giant killing run anyway, in the last couple of seasons, haven't they? So they've got a decent record. They'll see this as an opportunity. They'll obviously have a look at the team sheet when it comes out and try and plan a way. You know, of beating Leicester, and, you know, Paul Cook, who I know pretty well, he'll not come here, you know. You could suggest that, you know, a draw is a decent result for Wigan, but I think they'll come here and try and, you know, take the game to Leicester somewhat. I don't think they'll change their style too much. It's a free hit for them. So hopefully we're going to see a pretty open and exciting game of football.
One name that we've heard mentioned about potentially starting for Leicester is Benkovic, someone that the fans would be delighted to see. Obviously, because I haven't seen much of him since he arrived. And would you be excited to see him in action?
Yeah, I think, you know, if he does start, then that's another player that has sort of been pulled from obscurity, isn't it, by Brendan Rodgers, you know, along with Napolis Mendy, who's came in a week or so ago and started for the first time this season. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how the team shapes up. We thought there might be some changes, but how many we're just not quite sure of yet, and we'll have to wait for the team news. But as I said there before, I'm expecting a team, Brendan Rodgers, to pick a team that he should feel pretty comfortable and pretty confident they're going to go out and win.
Yeah, well, Matt was saying earlier, he said, I'll give you a tenner if you can guess the team, because that's the thing with Brendan Rodgers. He does keep it all very close to his chest, which is great because the opposition don't have a clue what's coming either.
Well, exactly, and I think, you know, when you watch recent footage of Leicester, then yes, you know exactly how Brendan Rodgers sets his team up, but as far as the individuals are concerned, then, you know, there's a good chance that, you know, Paul Cook won't have an idea of who's playing. He won't know some of the players that don't play. He'll be concentrated on the style of football that Leicester play rather than the personnel, one would think.
I mean, in fairness, Tags, even the system or style changes around as well, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. It can do. I think especially at home, I think Brendan will understand the need to take the game to Wigan, and that being the case, then he'll play his favourite 4-3-3. I would suspect, but again, pure speculation with a little bit of inside knowledge. We'll have to wait and see.
There we go. He's just leaving that there, isn't he?
Just under 10 minutes until we know about what Jerry knows for sure coming out on that team sheet. But what else is on the show this afternoon, Dan?
Yeah, we'll hear from Jose Perez, Hamza Chowdhury. We'll look back at that brilliant win on New Year's Day at St James's Park. Of course, both Perez and Chowdhury are on the score sheet in that game there. We'll look closely at Wigan, hear from their boss Paul Cook, as well as, of course, as ever, Brendan Rodgers.
Matchday Live on your radio in 8 minutes time here on LCFC Radio as we get ourselves ready for kick-off in Leicester City against Wigan in the FA Cup, of course. And in terms of Leicester City going forward from today, they know they've got that Villa game coming up in the week. Everyone says FA Cup takes priority over League Cup. Not at this stage, I'm sure. So will a little thought have gone ahead to that, Matt?
Yeah, of course. Everything will be taken into consideration, won't it? But in this instance, the semi-final takes over, doesn't it?
I'd have thought
the
so.
FA Cup.
I would have thought so.
I mean, Brendan will want to do well in every competition that he enters, but at the same time, that can be quite taxing, can't it? If you've got the league running and then you go deep into both cups, can be difficult to manage. Although I think Brendan Rodgers and his players are up for the challenge of doing that. But of the two, if he's going to tinker around with the squad and the team, at all, you think you're probably going to happen more so today, and then not the big guns, because we said Leicester have got a good squad throughout, but the big hitters will definitely be on Wednesday, you would imagine.
That's the thing. Leicester make 9 changes going to West Ham, and they played absolutely phenomenally.
Yeah. I think the great thing for Brendan Rodgers now, and for Leicester City fans as well, is that Leicester can afford, in a way, to be in all 3 competitions, doing well in them, because it does give Brendan Rodgers the opportunity to mix and match. We now know, having seen those 9 changes down at West Ham, that Brendan's got something like 18, 19 players that he can use how he wants to. We know he's got a first choice 11, but underneath that first choice 11, there's 7 or 8, 9 players that he won't mind putting in the side with confidence, to still get a result. So I think there'll be a few changes tonight. He'll look to strengthen the side even more when they play Villa in the semi-final, because you're right, Matt's right. The semi-final has to take precedent, but I don't think he'll be looking at the semi-final at this moment. All Brendan Rodgers concentrates on is the game that they're going to play. I think there'll be a few changes today, and there'll be a few more changes on Wednesday, but it will be to sort of strengthen the side, if you like, ready for one of the biggest games of the season. And despite the fact that they're second in the Premier League, a semi-final now of the Carabao Cup has got to be one of the big games of the season. No question at all about it.
Some goals going in around the grounds. Fulham 1, Aston Villa 1 now. Tranmere have got a goal back against Watford. Blackpool have retaken the lead at Reading, and Norwich have now got 4 against Preston. It's 4-1 there. Dan will keep you up to date with those scores as we move over to Matchday Live. Just quickly before we go on, a very quick score prediction and first goal scorer. Nev, starting with you.
3-0. First goal scorer, we don't know who's playing, do we? If he's playing Maddison.
2-0, Kelechi.
We will see what happens. We've got you covered on LCFC Radio. If you're watching on the social media feeds, they're about to be paused, but we'll start again at the beginning of Matchday Live with Dan Bates and Jerry Taggart in position. Then